Chapter 98. Difficulty of refining goo. What? That lad, he's a rank 2 goo master now, and even applied for the asset splitting mission from the Internal Affairs Hall. Uncle Gu Yudongtu's furious and shocked voice reverbed throughout the main hall. That is indeed so. Although I accepted your primeval stones, I cannot do much to stop him. I only managed to tell him to collect the mission in 3 days. I can only stall that long for you, that is my limit. The middle-aged Gu master beside him said. Gu Yudongtu snorted in his heart. He could sense the hidden meaning in the Internal Affairs Hall's Gu master's words. Stall for 3 days, it is the limit. Such words were merely an excuse to extort even more money. But, top priority now is still to do all I can to retain the assets. This rascal is really too troubling. Gu Yudongtu's sweat poured from his forehead as Fan Yuan's growth was so rapid it gave him the feeling of a heart attack. I came here especially to tell you this, so I'll take my leave now. The middle-aged man stood up to depart. Don't be in such a rush, brother. There are some things I still need for you to assist me a little with. Gu Yudongtu hurriedly stood up, retrieving a money bag and stuffing it into the middle-aged Gu master's hand. The male Gu master took the entire bag of primeval stones and stuffed it into his chest pocket, his tone quickly changing, laughing loudly. Brother Dongtu, you are too polite. We have such a great relationship, we've known each other for over 10 years. Don't worry, I will prepare the toughest mission for Fan Yuan, but he might employ other Gu masters to help him. You have to watch out for this. He, you can be rest assured. Although I have retired, I still have my relationships. I've sent people to observe him. If that lad employs outsiders, that is against the clan rules, and I am still waiting to get a hold of his weakness. Then I am at ease. Goodbye. Let me send you out. It is okay, please stay. Gu Yudongtu stared at the leaving Gu master, his smile slowly collapsing. This Fan Yuan, he is only C grade, how can he advance to rank 2 so soon? Damn it, what were Jiao San and the others doing? Can't even guard against a newbie. Sigh, now Jiao San and the team were all killed by the beast horde, what incompetent fools. Fan Yuan also advanced to rank 2, this way he can definitely receive the family asset mission. My previous methods to block him will no longer work. But he is now working alone, and aiming to complete the asset inheritance mission alone is really difficult. No. This lad's luck is absurd. First I got Jiao San and the rest to suppress him, and immediately the beast horde came. If he relies on this luck again and completes the mission, what then? I have to prepare for the worst. An old sly fox, Gu Yudongtu being able to enter and leave the fighting life peacefully and live up until now, it represented success already. Compared to the newly independent Fan Yuan, his interpersonal relationships were much stronger. Collecting honey wine? When Fan Yuan received the asset mission, his eyes shone with cold glimmer. This mission was very troublesome. It was to collect 5 liang, 1 liang is 31.25 grams. Of golden bees honey wine. Golden bees were all fist-sized with gold and black stripes, and they had a sharp stinger packed with a strong attack. That was not all. Among normal small hives, there was only honey. Only those large or medium hives had the precious honey wine made from a large accumulation of honey. This mission, even for a 5-man group, is very difficult. Because the number of people no longer matter, the Gu master collecting honey wine has to have a defensive type Gu to withstand the stings. It seems that Uncle's relationship has struck and is bullying my lack of a defensive Gu worm. Unfortunately for him. Fan Yuan laughed coldly in his heart. At this point, it showed the inherent benefits of the flower wine monk's inheritance. Easy to do things secretly, difficult to do things openly. The more one worked openly, the more their trump cards get revealed, and they become easier to trap. Conversely, working secretly helps to hide trump cards and lets others be unable to assess your situation, thus not being able to nip the problem in the bud. But, if I want to collect honey wine, the Jade Skin Gu isn't enough. Jade Skin Gu is only a rank 1 Gu, but if it can advance to the rank 2 White Jade Gu, I would be able to do it easily. Without the need to attempt to take risks, his rich life experience allowed him to take less pointless steps. Speaking of which, Fan Yuan is already a rank 2 initial stage goo master, but the goo worms on him, other than the spring-autumn cicada, were all rank 1 goo worms. This situation is like a grown man who is able to wield a halberd only holding a small dagger. The dagger is unable to display the full extent of the man's strength, and only with a halberd is it the most suitable. Fan Yuan had 7 goo worms in his possession. The vital goo spring-autumn cicada, moonlight goo, liquor worm, white boar goo, jade skin goo and 2 little light goo. In this mix, the moonlight goo can fuse with the 2 little light goo to form the moon glow goo. The white boar goo and jade skin goo can fuse into white jade goo. Moon glow goo represents a surge in attack power, while white jade goo is an increase in defense. If Fan Yuan had enough primeval stones, he would choose to refine them both. But not long ago, in order to push his cultivation to rank 2, he expended most of his primeval stones. Now, with the primeval stones on hand, it was only enough for one use. Undoubtedly, choosing to refine the white jade goo is a better choice. With the white jade goo, I can retrieve the honey wine. And with the white jade goo, I can advance better in the flower wine monk's inheritance. But if this fusion fails, the results will be dire. My finances are on the brink of collapse, so without the white jade goo, I cannot get my parents' assets. Stuck at this point, it will greatly slow my growth. Fan Yuan felt a subtle pressure. He knew that he was at a crossroad, and if this fusion succeeds, the future is bright. If he fails, then he would fall into the abyss. To get back to the current point, he would need even more effort in management and spend a longer time. Goo masters use their primeval sea as the base, and goo worms as the method. Goo is a goo master's necessity, without goo they are not goo masters. Other than their own cultivation, goo masters also have to refine, nurture, and use goo. In the room, clan leader Gu Yubo meticulously explained to Fan Zheng. Refine, nurture, and use. These 3 aspects, whichever one is also a huge knowledge trove. Even if you spend an entire lifetime, you cannot completely finish it. On the aspect of refining goo, you already know how to refine a goo and make it yours. But this is only a single refinement. There is also the more important aspect of fusion. Through fusion, you can fuse multiple goo worms into one with a higher rank. This is the evolution of life. Fan Zheng, you are already a rank 2 goo master, but your goo worms are all rank 1. It is time you refine a rank 2 goo worm. Fan Zheng asked, clan leader, how do I do fusion? Gu Yubo said, to fuse, you have to know the recipe. Some goo worms cannot be fused together. Through many eons of trial and error, and endless failures, our ancestors have come up with several recipes. Our Gu Yu clan has the most in-depth research with the moonlight goo, and we now have 2 rank 5 recipes on hand. What is a rank 5 recipe? In accordance to this recipe, through multiple fusions, one can finally refine up to a rank 5 goo worm. Fan Zheng, you have 1 jade skin goo and a moonlight goo on hand, it satisfies the condition for one of the rank 5 recipes. If you follow this recipe, you will get the rank 5 goo, eventually Moonlight Treasure King goo. Moonlight Treasure King goo? Fan Zheng's face was full of desire. He, telling you about a rank 5 goo now is still too early. Come, take out your jade skin and moonlight goo, I'll teach you how to fuse these 2 goo into the rank 2 moon raiment. Saying so, Gu Yubo's expression turned solemn. The most important thing about fusing goo is parallel thinking, fusing your consciousness. The moonlight goo and jade skin goo in your hands now have no wild consciousness anymore, overridden by your own consciousness. What you have to do now is to fuse these 2 thoughts together. Fuse together? Fan Zheng blinked, confused. Gu Yubo smiled, no worries, practice more, you will be able to grab hold of this feeling. Let's begin. Fan Zheng nodded, and under Gu Yubo's guidance, his light red-colored red steel primeval essence rose like smoke, enveloping the jade skin goo and the moonlight goo in midair. Fan Zheng shut his eyes, feeling and manipulating the 2 goo worms' consciousness. Gu Yubo was outside watching, and saw the jade skin goo and moonlight goo circling each other like 2 planets. As the consciousness fused, the distance between the 2 goo worms shortened. After 3 hours of continuous tries, Their consciousness was finally controlled by Fan Zhen, and fused together perfectly. At once, the Jade Skin Goo and Moonlight Goo both erupted in a bright white light. The two lights linked together, forming a lump as big as a face. Maintain this condition, and throw primeval stones into the light. Gu Yubo advised. Fan Zhen took out a primeval stone and threw it into the light. Strangely, after throwing the primeval stones in, the stones turned into a surge of pure natural essence, completely fusing with the lump of light. Only rock powder remained, scattering on the bed. Continue throwing until the rank 2 Gu is complete. Gu Yubo said. Fan Zhen was about to throw a second piece, but at this point, the light disappeared, and the 2 Gu flew in two opposite directions like they were pushed away ruthlessly by each other. The fusion failed. Damn, I forgot to maintain the fusion of the consciousness earlier. Fan Zhen immediately realized his mistake. No worries, failing at the start is normal. Gu Yubo consoled, but reminded, but be careful, you cannot fail too many times, if not both the Moonlight and Jade Skin Goo will perish. Fan Zhen recalled back the Jade Skin Goo and Moonlight Goo, and found cracks on the Moonlight Goo's surface, while the Jade Skin Goo looked like it was weakened. His heart sank, feeling the difficulty of refining Goo.